Hey everyone. A friend of mine has asked me to make a Game of Thrones edition of Objectivity. I don't think he knows Game of Thrones isn't real, but anyway, I've had a word to Keith here at the Royal Society and I said, Keith, Game of Thrones, I want dragons, I want a throne, what can you do? Do you think he's going to deliver the goods? Of course he is. Gods be good. It's Keith. Keith.
Game on.
All right. Dragons, Keith, what have you got? I see great pictures here. Talk me through it.
They're fantastic, aren't they? This is a book by Aldrovandi from 1640, where he's debunking the kind of object you might have found in a museum or a gentleman's collection of the period. So here we have a dragon, but it's stitched together from various fish parts and shark bits. To create this fantastical monster here.
So this was an era where people were making all these fake animals, stitching them together. This is a picture of one of the fakes, and it's being debunked in this article here.
That's exactly right.
I'll sort of count that as a dragon.
Okay. Here we have a contemporary of Isaac Newton. This is Johann Jackob Scheuchzer, who published an alpine itinerary, and here's a rather wonderful illustration of a waterfall in the Alps with a good Newtonian ring there, just to show what a good scientist he was.
So this chap is travelling around Europe, collecting stories, pictures, things like that?
Yeah, he's taken students on walks around the Alps, he's teaching them as he goes, but he's collecting things as well. One of the things he collects is tales about dragons, so he's interested in folklore.
I love this one. This is
It's great. I mean, one of the things that dragons do apparently is lie in wait for travellers, and you can see how surprising it all is.
That one looks like a cat.
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? They're very composite kind of creatures. I suppose you'd call it cryptozoology, would you?
You've delivered the dragons.
Top dragons.
Game of Thrones, though. Where's my throne?
We've got one.
Well, it's not the Iron Throne, but it's a nice chair. What is this, Keith? What is this?
It's better than the Iron Throne. This is the chair of the President of the Royal Society.
So only he's allowed to sit here?
Only he's allowed to sit there. You're not, Brady, sorry.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
It's very much a museum piece these days, but in the 19th century and early 20th century, it would have been used as a ceremonial chair for the meetings of the Royal Society. So when they discussed science, the president would have been in the chair, and when they inducted new fellows, the president would have been sitting here to greet them. We have a record of it through the portraits that were painted of the Royal Society's presidents. So quite often they would be painted sitting in the chair. Now we know that Isaac Newton had a presidential chair because we have the account books which shows how it's repaired. But there aren't any portraits of Newton sitting in a Royal Society presidential chair. None of the presidents before Newton are portrayed that way. It's only the ones after Newton. So rather interestingly, suddenly, after Newton had been president of the Royal Society, the presidency was worth having and worth battling over. So there were indeed fights for this throne after Newton had occupied it. So you will get alternating 5-year terms of presidency to keep the peace.
Well, there you go, Game of Thrones fans. At the Royal Society, it seems that when you play the Game of Thrones, you win, or you wait another 5 years and try again.
This particular piece of Newton's apple tree, and you can see it's genuine because it says IN on it, went up into space. It went on the space shuttle Atlantis and into the International Space Station.
And 0 and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis.